Hi everyone, welcome to SharePoint Power Hour. This is our weekly show that we do Wednesdays at 11 Central. I'm Laura Rogers and this is my team at Rackspace Hosting. We're all SharePoint consultants. So today's topic is going to be the SharePoint Office 365 Enterprise Filter Web Parts. So I will go ahead before we get started with today's topic. We'll all go through and introduce ourselves. So let's see, we'll let all you guys introduce yourselves first, and then I'll give a brief introduction and then get into my demos. So let's see, Joelle, then Ryan, then Tavis, and we'll see if any of the other guys pop in too.
Alrighty. Well, hello everyone. I am Joelle Farley. Can you guys hear me? Okay. Just making sure you guys can hear me. Okay. I just switched my mic over, so I want to make sure. I am Joelle Farley. I am based out of Atlanta, Georgia. I'm on the Business Solutions team as well. I am a SharePoint consultant, and I worked with SharePoint for about 6 or 7 years now, and I use filter web parts all the time, so pay attention. It's worthwhile.
Hi everybody, I am Ryan Keller. I'm the branding guy on the SharePoint services team here at Rackspace. Been working with SharePoint for 7 or 8 years, been doing branding for about 4 years now, and I never use filter web parts, so I'm interested to see how they work.
Hello everyone, my name is Tavis Level and I'm the Business Intelligence Developer on the Business Solutions team, dealing with all things reporting and dashboarding.
It'd help if I unmute myself. All right, so I'm Laura Rogers. I've been using SharePoint 10, 12 years, something like that. I'm a Microsoft MVP. And filter web parts have been around since SharePoint 2007 Enterprise, and so they're really useful. It's just that when you sort of see the filter web parts, just this big long list of them when you are adding a web part to a page in SharePoint, it doesn't, it's not very obvious necessarily as to what they all do. So I actually have a session that I do at conferences a lot called that introduces you to the out-of-the-box web parts. So I have a few slides actually about the filter web parts, and then I'm going to go through those, and then I'm just going to basically the whole rest of this Power Hour will be a demo of several of those. And just a couple of real quick things about the way this Google Hangout works. We have a Q&A panel. So if you're watching us on YouTube, you have a little link, a little yellow link that will take you over to the Google Hangout. And once you get to the Google Hangout, by default you're going to have a little app called the Showcase on the right that just, by default, it will just show you links that we've shared. But there's another app called Q&A, so there's a little icon towards the top right that looks like some little squares, and that's what lets you flip between the apps. So that's what lets you flip over to the Q&A app to be able to ask us questions, because that's why we do it live, so that we can be interactive with you, our viewers. So if you're watching live, feel free to try it out and just say hello in the Q&A window and make sure you can find that. And I'll go ahead and let me share my screen and get started. Let's see. Let's not have your faces on the screen that I'm sharing. Okay, so now you should be able to see just my background, and I'll go ahead and turn on my slides. All right. You guys nod if you can see my slide. Okay, thanks. Alrighty, so this is a list of what the out-of-the-box just filter web parts look like when you are on a page in SharePoint adding a web part. Just a little quick side note about web parts is that we actually did a whole other Power Hour and at some point in the past few months about just web part settings and just all the different settings that exist just in web parts in general. So we had that whole other one that you can reference. Maybe one of you guys can find that and stick the link in the little Showcase app if you get a chance. So this is what your list of filter web parts looks like. The apply filters, choice filter, current user filter, date filter, page field filter. So I'll go ahead, and I usually don't have time to do this in the session when I'm talking about all the out-of-the-box web parts, but I'll go ahead and briefly just describe each one of these, and then I'll go ahead and when I do my demo, I'll be able to demo just a handful of them. So apply filters, I'm not going to do that one first because it doesn't really work alone. So I'm going to go through all the other ones and I'll talk about apply filters last. So choice filter is just the concept of having a sort of a drop-down box of choices. So all these filter web parts, they're going to be connected to something else, sending information to something else. So the choice filter is giving you a drop-down to pick an item from a list. Current user filter just is going to know current information about the currently logged in user in SharePoint or Office 365. The date filter looks like a little date picker, like you would see like the picker control in any form in SharePoint. And then the page field filter uses a field if you're on just an ASPX page, like a page in your site pages library or pages library in SharePoint. It can look at the information in a field in that page. Query string URL filter, this one baffled me for years because I am not a developer and didn't know anything about what a query string was. So a query string is when you're looking at a URL, if you see like a little question mark in your URL and some information after the question mark, that's the query string. So your URL itself is sending information to the page you're on to show you more specific set of information. SharePoint list filter is more dynamic. It's similar to the choice filter. So choice is just some hard-coded choices, and the SharePoint list filter is actually going to refer to a specific SharePoint list where you can pick one of your choices from that list. SQL Server Now Services, that's going to connect to that's a Tavis thing, right? So it's going to connect to, if you have your data in one of those.
Cubes, analysis services cube.
There you go. So I'm pretty sure that there's a good bit of behind-the-scenes setup that would need to happen for that filter to work. You'd have to have a connection in the first place, I believe. So I've actually never used that one. And then the text filter is you're simply typing in some information. So let's just talk a little bit in my other slides about how these work. All right, so a little bit more information. These are included with SharePoint Enterprise, at least E3 with Office 365. They require connections, web part connections to other web parts to filter data, to work. They don't do anything if you put one on a page by itself. The provider web part is the one that sends data to the consumer web part. That's what when you set up your web part connection, you tell it whether it's sending data or receiving data. And again, this is from 2007, 2010, 2013, and Office 365. So here's an example, a screenshot of using a current user filter web part. This is very cool. So our current user filter is not going to show on the screen, and users are not going to see it. But what it does is it allows you to pick a field about the currently logged in user. So think about how you have your Active Directory synchronization and how you have your whole user profile that exists in SharePoint and all those fields that exist. First name, last name, department, I don't know, city, state, just all those different fields that have information about that person. Those are going to be available to pick one of those fields. So for example, I have a department field that's coming from Active Directory to say what department the currently logged in user is on, and that's what that web part is storing. Patrick says, do you need to be using a web part page? Yes. There's no other way to, well, I guess you're asking about a web part page compared to like a wiki page or a publishing page or something. You can do connections with all those other types of pages. So it doesn't have to be a web part page. It's just that with wiki pages, these are very clunky and they will randomly disappear. So I like web part pages better just in general, but you don't have to. So it stores the information about the currently logged in user, and then I've created 3 different web part connections to all these other web parts. So it's sending values to a Contoso department field that I have that's a site column that's actually got a department name that's associated with every file, and a department name associated with every task, and a department name with every promoted link. and it's actually sending that information about that logged in user's department behind the scenes to all those web parts. So therefore, when the person goes to look at the page, they will automatically just see the stuff that's filtered to for them. This is not security. This is just simply filtering, just like a filtered view. It's just filtering information, and that's just one really really basic, really common example of what you can do with the current user filter web part. As long as the data has the exact same verbiage. So it can't say information technology or IT or be spelled in different ways. So it has to have the exact same value for it to match up. All right, so that was all I had for slides. So I'll go ahead and get into my demo here. Okay, so this is that exact same site that I was showing you. So I'll go ahead and show you. Now this is a Wiki page. So this is under site pages / home, just on a team site, just the default home page you would get. So the tricky thing about putting a filter web part on a Wiki page as opposed to a web part page is that, look at it over here. It looks like just this almost invisible little rectangle here. So there's not much to it. You can't even hardly tell it's there, and you can't hardly tell how that you can get to it and do anything with it. So what I usually do is, there's a little it's a little workaround to this bugginess, is I go hit edit web part just on some other web part. Frank's asking me if I can make my screen larger. Oh, let me see, maybe I can zoom in. How's that? Maybe that'll help. All right. So I hit edit web part on another web part, and look at that. Now all of a sudden my current user filter is showing here. So now I can go hit edit web part on there, and now it will show up. So you can see here that by default the current user filter web part just shows the name of the currently logged in user, like that. But again, you can pick from all these different fields that you have from that user profile. So title, like their job title, their email address, anything like that. So if you have a value that you need to be able to filter by in a list that's not, for example, you have like a people field. In people fields, if you do a filter on a SharePoint list or library by a people field, you can say like created by is equal to me, modified is equal to me, and you can use me in brackets, so that people field will automatically look at whoever's logged in and just match that up and show that person things that are pertaining to them. But if you don't have a people field, or if you have just some other data like the person's email address, so if I just have email addresses in some column and I needed that to somehow match up with the logged in person's email address, that's where I could use email here. So whatever value I pick in here, that is the value that it's sending to the other web parts. So like when I go to I'll show you my promoted links list over here. So I'm going to go click on that, just save I didn't really make any changes. I'm going to go to my promoted links list and show you that in my all promoted links. See, I had this column that I had added called Contoso Department. So that is and I'll go edit this item and show you that this is a drop-down box. It's actually a lookup to a main list of departments. Or actually, no, I think it's just a choice box. It's not a lookup because it's just storing that as the actual words, information technology. It just says text in a drop-down. So this exact same field was added to the task list and the document list and all that, same exact on the same page. So then when I created my, I'll go delete one of these web part connections and show you how to recreate it. So I'll go remove my filter, remove my connection. All right, so when I'm creating a web part connection, I can start from the provider web part, or I can start from the consumer web part. Usually just starting either way will work fine. So go ahead and start at current user filter. Every now and then, right, Joelle, guys, you'll come across one where it makes more sense to go one specific way as opposed to the other. But yeah, usually it doesn't matter. So I'm going to say connections send filter value to, and I'm going to say send it to policies. So then I'm going to say get my filter value. They should just put filter value as the default here. All these years, I don't know why parameter has been the default, because that's much more rarely used. And now this is where I have to match it up. So the provider field name, that's just my current user filter. The data is the department, though. So just have to remember the department of the current user, it matches with what in this list. So it's going to be my Contoso department field, library, list, library, whatever. So now it immediately sees that I'm in the IT department and it sends it to here. Now, how can you tell when you're testing this what the value is that's being stored in that current user filter? So I actually wrote a blog post about this. It's called Testing the Current User Filter. But I'll go ahead and demonstrate this real quick too. I probably already have a page called test, so test 3. All right, so I'll go ahead and just insert web part and go to my filters here and go to current user filter, and then insert another web part, and I'll insert the one called text filter. So this will actually let me, I can connect these two. So I can visually look at what is in the current user filter in my text filter. So I'm actually going to get my default value in the text filter from the current user filter. And look at that. It automatically just shows me, because remember, by default, the current user filter has just the login name. See the current username like this? So it immediately put that login name in the text filter. So that way when I'm setting this up and I'm testing it, I want to make sure that it works so I'll know exactly what it's passing to that other web part. I can try that. So like if I try account name here and click OK, actually I'm going to need to go refresh the page because it's still showing that cached information. But now, okay, now I know that account name is domain/username. So does that make sense? So that's how you can actually see what's in that filter when you're using it. I'll go ahead and show you, let's see, go edit this same little test page here and add a few more of these other ones. Filters, I'll show you what the apply filters button that I mentioned earlier is basically gives them a button instead of them making a choice and it automatically filtering the other thing. It just gives them a button to click. So I make a choice and then it gives me a button that says to apply my filter. And I can also save my favorite filters in there as well. It's pretty cool. Jack says, as you are using it here, I see it being more useful in a page with multiple lists. I was trying to understand how this was better than sorting a column on a single list. Thank you. All right, Jack, awesome. And then again, if it's something other than just the currently logged in user, like their name or who they are, if it's like their department, that's really the only way to filter lists like that on some other value. Like I wrote another blog post about just showing like a weather information in a web part, and I was actually using the zip code of the currently logged in user using the current user filter and passing that zip code to the weather web part so that it would know which zip code to show. So that's another example of using another field of the currently logged in user. That's a really old blog post. That's from like 3 years ago or so, but it still applies. All right, so I'll go ahead and put the choice filter on here. I'll put, God, I hate wiki pages so much. You know what? I don't want to use a wiki page. I'm going to go to my site contents, and wiki pages drive me nuts. So I can do my little shortcut of doing a web part page by just going to my site pages library and just clicking web part page like that. So test 4. And we did a whole last week, right, Ryan? Didn't you do a whole thing about publishing pages and different pages? And yeah, I missed that. Okay. I don't know if you feel the same way that I feel about wiki pages, but they drive me nuts. All right, I'm going to add a choice filter, and then I'm going to put another one over here, and I'm going to put a date filter. I'm going to show you what just some of the options are in these, and then I'm going to do the page field filter in a minute. I'm going to do the query string in a minute, SharePoint list filter, and then kind of already showed you the text filter, so I'll show you these three. And the main difference is going to be what's the difference between a choice filter and a SharePoint list filter. So with a choice, I'm just typing them in this box in the settings over here on the right. See, so I can say like these are departments like IT, marketing, and oh wait, watch this, information. You can do values and descriptions. So like if my value is IT and my description is information technology. I can't spell. Okay, and then I might have like an abbreviation. So I can do just values versus descriptions. So like HR and then like human resources. I don't have to do values and descriptions, but it lets me do that. Okay, and then I have some advanced options. Sometimes after you've created your connection with these filter web parts, all this stuff will be grayed out and locked down. It just means that you have to go remove your connection before it'll let you change some of the settings. So I can go control the width. Maybe I don't want it to take up the width of the entire page, and I can even make it required if I want to, or if I want it to be empty or allow multiple selections. So there's a lot of cool little options in there. So, and just for testing these, again, I can use my text filter web part to just simply show the value that's being passed from one of these other web parts. So I can say like get default value from, and I'll just put my choice filter here. All right, so now whatever I pick in my choice filter will show. It looks like I didn't make it wide enough. I typed 100 in there, but that's not, it looks kind of funky all crammed in there like that. So I'll make it wider. So 200 or 300. And I can say show empty, etc. All right. So now, when I'm going to stop editing, it says it's not connected. Let's see what it does. So this is what it looks like. So, and I chose for it to allow it to show an empty option. But it doesn't visually look like a drop-down box, but it's the same concept. It's letting you pick something. So I'm picking a department and click OK. And then you can see that the value that's going to be passing to some other web part or a list or whatever I have on the page is just that the value that I defined. So like if I pick HR, human resources, it should send HR. It didn't refresh it, but that's the value that it's sending. Probably if I had my little, let's see if my little apply filter button will help to do that. I'll show you what that looks like. All right. Apply filter, and I'll move that up. Okay, so now I'll say human resources, which should show as, ooh, where's my apply filter? Interesting. It's not showing there. Let me try and refresh again. Odd. Let's see what it does. It's not even sending it now at all. Let's see. So apply filters. Let's see if I actually have to do anything for it to work. No, it just says apply filters, and it okay. That's very interesting. Maybe apply filters, it just doesn't work in this situation. I'm not sure. I hardly ever use it because usually I just want it to immediately just send that data when someone picks it. So I don't usually put it on the page, but that's very odd that it just completely would not show here. You guys feel free to chime in if you've ever seen that happen. I always have to have something that I demo in these things that just doesn't do what you'd expect it to do. See, apply filters doesn't have connections. It's just you put it on the page and it simply works. It's probably confused because there's so many filter web parts on this page. So let me try that. Let me try removing a couple of these. Because I think that maybe it's just looking for a filter web part to be able to send information from. Yeah, okay. So let's see. No, it still didn't show it, but at least my filter's being passed. Huh. Let's see. Deborah says, Laura, if you have time, can you show how to use this displaying a large preview pane to show documents? Example, query filter on a document number or library content, then once selected, show a large preview window of the document. I kind of did that with Excel services a couple of power hours ago, where I had put the Excel Web Access web part on a page, and then you click between different spreadsheets, and it shows it in that web part. But I'll see if I can do something like that. The problem, Deborah, is that I don't have Office web apps on my VM, and this is my VM, so I'm not sure if I'd be able to finagle that one. We can definitely kind of try to delve into some stuff there. All right, so let me go back to my little test page and refresh it and show you some of these other settings, and then I'll show you I actually have a sort of example little scenario to show you how the page field filter works. So I'll go ahead and edit page and get rid of, so let's see, get rid of this connection. I just have a feeling that that apply field filters one is just not working because I don't have like a list or something on here that it's supposed to be sending data to. Okay, so that was a choice one. Let's go look at how the date filter works. And then I'll put an actual list of something on a page. So let's see, just put some documents. Because everything's going to have a date, right? There's nothing in that library. Let's not put a library that has nothing in it. I'll put policies there. My little fake company policies. All right, so date filter. What are some settings in here? Alrighty. It has, do you want a default value? So you can put a specific date, or you can say offset from today. So that's pretty cool how you can say offset by, I'll just say 1 day or something like that, and then it's after or before. So I'll say maybe I want to just show stuff from yesterday by default, or have a specific date in there by default. So, or I can say probably 0 days, and then it would just show today. And then my advanced options are going to be, is it required or not? So I'll go ahead and save that change, and then I'm going to send my filter value to policies. And I'll get my filter value from, and then I have to pick a date field. So it's not going to automatically only show me date fields. So I need to know, a specific date field to pick. So I'll just say modified. So by default now it's showing me things that were modified on that particular day. And let's see if I can make it. So since I don't really need to do the visual thing where I was showing it in the text filter like I did for the other one, because I'm seeing it right here on the page anyway. So let's go ahead, and I'm going to go to my policies library. I'm going to find some specific date that I can, just kind of go see what dates exist in this thing. Let's go see. Modified March 9th. So I have one that was fairly recently modified, March 9th. All right. Okay, so instead of using the default, I'm just going to change it to March 9th, and go. And it didn't do it. All right. Oh, look, there's my Apply Filters button. It appeared. It's magical. So if I wanted it to remember that I put 3.9 in here, I could check the box. I guess it just only shows when it's applicable, and it just knows when it's applicable or not. So I changed it to 3.9, and then I click Apply Filter. So I would probably want to put the Apply Filters web part below the one that I'm clicking on so that it would make sense to end users. But that's where that will send that value. And let's try. I wonder if we could do like a range. I wonder if that would work. Now, just keep in mind when you're doing a date filter like that, that out of the box you have what's called metadata navigation with some filtering options that's in there already. So this isn't something where you have to reinvent the wheel necessarily. So let's see. I think this is an exact date though. So I think a lot of people, a lot of questions I get would be how can I put a web part on here that would send like where you can say it's greater than this or something like that. But with this, the way this connection is done on this page, this is just going to show me things that were modified on that date. There's no like this is the beginning date and this other thing is the end date. So just kind of something to note. But you could put like put a web part on your team page that says project documents edited today. And of course, the thing about that is, if you could do a default of modified is equal to today, but if you have this date filter on a page, then people would quickly have an interactive way where they could go just change that to another date. But then again, you still have your columns, just columns in your lists and libraries that have dates that you can quickly sort and filter by too. So just kind of keep all those little out-of-the-box things in mind. That's why I haven't used this date filter web part that much, just because there's so many out-of-the-box ways that kind of already do that. Let's see. All right, yeah. Anybody else have questions? Let me know. Let's see. Yeah, Deborah, I'm going to try and see if I can get to that, but I'm just not sure. All right, now I'll show you I showed you the choice filter, so I'll get rid of that one. I'm going to show you the lookup one. So I think I have a list of departments. Let me go see what I'm going to use for my lookup. So I have Contoso departments. No, let's see. This is all just my test stuff that I have for my class that I teach and stuff like that. So I'm just looking for something good to use for just something to do a lookup of. Project phases. Yeah, sure. Those really don't make sense for project phase names, but I'm going to use that as my lookup for my drop-down that I'm going to do on my page. All right? So go back to test 4 and refresh that. And this time I'm going to get rid of my date filter and put the lookup filter on here. I think, I deleted it. All right. All right, so now I have project phases. Right there. Oh wait, no, I didn't mean to put project phases on there. I meant to put a lookup on there. My brain. All right. SharePoint list filter. All right, so it's going to be similar to when you're creating a lookup field. You pick a SharePoint list using this little button. And then I need to go find, so here's project phases, that's the list I need. Insert. And then look at that, I get to pick a specific view if I want. So that's kind of nice. So I can pick, if I have a specific filtered view, that would be a good way of showing only those particular filtered items. Ooh, I'm starting to get ideas. All right, so I have a value field, so I need to have a value to be able for them to pick from, and then I can have a description field if I want to. So my value is number of hours, which I think I really want my value to be like the name of the project phase. Let's see. I'm just gonna click OK and see what it does. That's very odd though that it doesn't have just the title as a value. Have you guys ever used this one? Joelle? Anybody? Project phases. See, project phase is the title field, and then I have number of items. And project phase was just, the title field renamed. So I'm going to create another one called phase name, and just to see if maybe this is a bug. All right, so then I'll go over here, quickly go to quick edit, and then just copy those. Let me not go backwards there. And then we'll see if that works. That's, I swear, I'm constantly finding little weird things like that, aren't I? Joelle's like, okay. All right. Back over there. Okay, now SharePoint list filter. I think this is actually starting to ring a bell. Like, I think that I've seen it do this before. That, yep, see, it just doesn't like the title field. That's what it is. So as long as it's not the title field, you can use that as your whatever value. And remember, the value is what it's stored and what it's sending to the other web part, and the description is just the thing that they're seeing. So, and again, you can have the value store something else. All right, so I'm going to go click OK. And then, so now I have my whatever's set up in here, and I'll say I'm going to send my default value to my text filter so I can see what I pick. So let's go see what that looks like. So here are my options. It looks just like the other one, except it's not sending a default value. That's fine. I'm not surprised. So what I'm going to do is I want to have a library that's got a lookup to that list of project phases. And that way, when I pick a project phase, it will automatically show me the matching items, right? So that would kind of be the best scenario where you would do something like that. So not project phases, but project files. So project files, I'm going to make sure that project files actually has a lookup field over to project phases, and then you would see how those all kind of match up. So it doesn't exist yet. I'm going to go ahead and throw that in here. Say lookup. Is this making sense? Okay, phase. All right, and then I'll say project phases. And in this column, phase name is the one that I just created. So that's what they'll be able to pick from. And then I just need to go into this library and put a few values in these. Like that. All right, and then who cares what's in all those folders? All right, so now I've got the relationship, and I've got things that are, kind of talking to each other. This test 4 page, I'm getting tired of doing this, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to go pin this to my quick launch real quick. So if I go I'm on test 4 page, I'm going to hit edit links. I'm going to take test 4 and just drag it over here into my navigation and click save. So now I can just quickly go to it each time. All right, so instead of putting my policies on the page, I'm going to put that library that's going to have the relationship in it. So that should be a better scenario that you would use for something like this, for something that actually has a relationship. So I'll go project files, and then get filter value from, and I'll say SharePoint list filter. And then now my project phase that I'm picking in the provider web part is going to match up with what? So it should be my project phase. I hate the way these are not in any kind of order. Here it is. Now let's see what happens. Apply filters. Woohoo! So does that make sense? So what I did was I allowed it to, it's letting me pick something, and then whatever value I have, it's sending that value as a filter to this other list. I wonder if I could receive a filter, get default value from. It'd be really cool, Joelle, if you could get a default value from like a query string or something, and then somehow have it dynamically filtered, because it lets you do that filter like different views. It lets you filter it by a specific view. It'd be nice if you could. That's what people ask for all the time, is having like a cascading drop down. So I just started getting ideas, but it's probably too far-fetched. All right, so I'm going to show you the page field filter next. So I showed you the choice and the apply filters and the SharePoint list and text filter, date filter. Now I'll show you the page field filter, because it's a little more obscure and it's a little more, you kind of have to see it to really understand what it does. So I'm going to go to my human resources site. And what I have is I have a whole bunch of benefit documents. I have like medical, vision, and dental. I have some benefits, and I have a whole bunch of documents. And then I have each document is actually using a lookup and it's associated with a specific benefit. So like when I go to benefit documents, see, I can see it's got a lookup field to the name of the benefit. Each benefit is a page in a pages library, medical, vision, and dental. So when I click on medical, I've created this little page, and I've got some benefit documents. I've got a little, a pretty little link here that's from a promoted links list, and I've got a bunch of just text about, just verbiage about our medical benefits at our company, and even contact information. So what this is doing is it's using a page field to see what to filter the information by. So when I show you how this works, you're probably going to think that a query string would be more efficient. So I'll show you how it works, and then I'll show you how we could probably do it better with a query string. So I have all these different lists. So benefit links, benefit documents, and benefit contacts all have this lookup. So what is the lookup going to? It is going to benefit, benefit. That is actually a lookup to the site pages. So each benefit is a page in a pages library. So when I'm doing a lookup in all these other lists and libraries, it's just going to site pages and looking at the title, the name of the benefit. So then in my pages library, site pages, see, here are my different dental, vision, and medical benefits, and I can go look at the benefit name. Is also an extra, so I put it in the title, and then I also put benefit name in here because I think it was another one of those things where it didn't like the filter web parts didn't like using the title field for some reason. So just kind of keep that in mind. So medical, I'll go edit properties. So basically it's got the title, just the name of the file, and then benefit name is the one that I added in there, and I called it medical. And then I also made the title of it the same thing. So basically I've got it in like 3 different places. So page field filter is going to look at a field on whatever current page you're on. So a field is going to be like name, title, benefit name, some field or any other field that you've added to the site pages or the pages library itself. So when I go to, I'll go to dental. I haven't built this out yet, and I'll go ahead and build that out. So I'll go insert my filter web part, my page field filter, and then when then I'll go insert kind of a couple of the other ones like benefit documents and stuff, and go. All right, and then I'll put I'll just do that one for now. So remember the trick, if you got this little gray box and you can't get to the settings, you just open up the settings for some other web part, and then this one magically lights up. So I know it's weird. All right, so which page field are we using? So that's why I have to pick that from this list. So remember how I said the title field didn't work? See, there's no title field here. It's just benefit name. It didn't even have the name of the file either. So that's why I had to create this extra field called benefit name. I know it's really dumb. So, and do I want to send empty if there's no value, send only the first value if I have multiple, etc. So I picked my benefit name as the page field, and then let me go back into edit the page. Oh, I'm still editing the page, all right. And then I need to create my connection. So I'll say send filter value to benefit documents, And then this particular page is called dental, so it should automatically, when I do this, show me the dental documents. So let's see, it's going to be benefit. All right, now it did it, but you just can't tell. So I'll go ahead and apply that change, and I'm going to put my benefit column here so you can see that it did it. Come on, server. All right, benefit there. That's the cool thing about filter web parts, is that you don't have to be looking at the column that you're filtering by. That's actually kind of nice. So, dental. Did it just bomb it? I hate wiki pages so much. It just wiped out the entire page. It's nice, real nice. As Eddie would say in American Christmas Vacation, it's real nice, Clark. Page field filter. Let's practice this again. Let's see if it did it. Insert it, and then I'll do benefit documents again. See, it says benefit documents too, so it's as if it still has one on there somewhere. Ryan, is this something that you see? Look, I inserted the wrong one. Is this something you see like in branding, that is it hidden somewhere on the page when that happens? Like, where is it?
I don't know if if wiki pages keep the web parts if they're closed or whatever.
It says 2 on it, so it makes me think that it's in there.
It might be. I don't know. You could always do the contents equals 1.
Oh yeah, maybe. I'll try that in a minute.
Yeah, see if
value 2, benefit documents 2, and then I'm going to pick my filter value. This is fun practice. Benefit. So what I was trying to do is I was trying to just show the benefit column here. Just to show you that, so it is being filtered. Now I'm on my dental page, and it's automatically showing me the dental documents, and then I would add those other ones. Like on here, I had benefit links is a promoted links list that also has, I'll go to my little all promoted links, it also has a drop-down box in here that lets them pick a benefit. See right here? So that's, exactly the same as the one I showed you in the library a minute ago. So that's where those links are coming from, and that's how that was built out. But you have to build one page, and then if you had SharePoint Designer, you could actually like copy and then paste a couple of times to create the other pages. But then, and then you would just, whatever you had in that benefit name field, it would automatically, show the right information. But it makes you create all these multiple pages. So that's when we get to the concept of a query string, is where you have information that you're sending from the URL that you're on to be able to automatically just have one page and show it all the proper information. So that's where we get to, let's see, Music says, it's always comforting to see you experts have issues too. Yeah. So I'll go ahead and show you an example, and you guys might have noticed this if you watched the little new hire onboarding little demo that I did. But I'll show you. It's this concept of a sort of dashboard where you can have information about one thing being sent to the dashboard. So I'm going to go ahead and build out a page like that and show you how the query string works. So I'll go ahead and say, really just want to create a page. Let me go to my site contents and go to my, this is doesn't have the publishing features enabled, so it doesn't have any pages in here. I think I turned off the wiki page homepage feature. Let me go to this other one. Let me see. Site pages, there we go. I'll just do one in here. So I'll do a web part page, test, query. So think about like having project information or having person information or just any situation where you need to have one page that displays a bunch of related things about some central item. So I'll have, like, this one is going to be the new hire list. So I want to show information about a new hire, and then I want to show maybe some related other lists that we might have having to do with maybe tasks that are being assigned around a specific workflow. So, and something that I've pointed out in the past that's just a little weird buggy thing with the task list and that little timeline it puts on there is that it doesn't let you out of the box with when you put the view looks like that with a task list, it doesn't let you do web part connections, or at least if you create one it doesn't work. So I just had to create a view that uses a style in the view settings that's not the default style, just any of those other styles. It's weird. So then I did that, and I had created that view previously, and so now it will let me create a connection to it. So what I want to do is I want this page to show one new hire, and I want to show all the related information to that new hire. So this ID is going to be central to what I'm going to be using. So my new hire lookup is a lookup field I have over in this task list. And when I set up this lookup field, I additionally brought over the ID, because the ID is that unique thing that it's going to let me create that connection the best way. So when I created the new hire this lookup field, I just additionally checked the box next to ID. All right, so and that's in the task list. That's the things that are related to this one, central person that we're going to show on this page. All right, so I'm going to say I can just give my query string whatever name that I want to give it. So I'm going to call it hire. So the word hire is what's going to be after the question mark when we're doing the query in the query string. So it's going to say hire equals something, and that's going to be an ID. So I'm going to call it hire, and then I'm just going to, and just for fun, I can change the title. I can just say hire ID if I want, just so when I'm looking at it, I'll remember, just for my reference. Because remember, no one's going to see the filter web parts. So then I want to show one new hire in here. And Deborah, you were talking about, looking at the concept of showing detailed information about a document or something like that. What I can do, one little style that exists is called boxed, and it will show whatever fields you pick as more of a detail view in a box, as opposed to a big list of items. So I'm going to say I just want to show one new hire. I'm just going to show the one that I'm going to be sending from the filter. So this one's showing Todd by default. And then I want to, then the tasks are fine. So the next thing to do is to create the connection. So send filter value to, and I'll say new hire list. So whichever ID, like hire equals something, that's what I'm going to have. That's the one it's going to show. Get filter values from. Come on, what is the deal? All right. So the query string is sending it to the ID of the new hire. All right, and then right now I don't have a value in my query string yet. And then this one's going to get filter values from the hire ID also. And that one's going to get, remember that one that was the new hire lookup, :ID? All right, so now let's try this. And we did a whole other power hour, by the way, on this concept of quick steps that I'm about to show you. So let's see, hire equals 2. Let's see, maybe Todd was hire number 2. Let me see. Let's try 3. Oh, look, see, Jennifer Mason is hire 3. And look at that, it's got tasks associated with Jennifer Mason. So that's how I can, there are varying ways that you're going to be sending people to this page. But again, you don't have to create a page for each new hire. We have a list of projects that we work on as SharePoint consultants, and I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing my screen real quick while I talk for a minute. We have a list of projects that we share, and we have them categorized by programming projects, branding projects, server admin projects. Well, we don't need to create a separate page for each type of project to have a dashboard for those people to look at. We can just create one page and say, send a filter, query string value to it, saying like project type equals dev or something like that. And then that way you're going to one page and you're just seeing those related items. So sort of the one way to get people to a page like this is, I'll go ahead and share my screen one more time. And I think I've shown this probably in a couple of different demos. But again, it's that concept of a quick step. So when I go home and I click on one of my little test items in here and I go to dashboard, I actually have it built in. So it says hire equals 10. So the person that I clicked on was ID number 10, and it automatically takes them to this dashboard that I created. This is a different one that I had created like in another demo, but it's the same concept. It's showing all the items around that one. So again, our whole Power Hour about quick steps / custom actions would take you to that to learn how to do that. That's in SharePoint Designer that you have to do that little linkage. And then just this whole new hire concept, I did like a series of 6 or 7 videos that are also Power Hours that you can go look at. So, all right, so Deborah did not get to show you, and I wouldn't have been able to do that anyway, Deborah, since I don't have Office Web Apps on my little demo environment here. But just go take a look at that one we did with the Excel Web Access web part that lets you do that with Excel. But I'm not sure just off the top of my head how you would do that with a Word document. Joelle or anybody, have you done that with an entire document right before?
The only thing I've done is just the document preview. You can kind of tap into that with the search results web part.
Cool.
But it's not going to like just show it on a page, so I'd have to think about that a little bit more.
Oh, okay. So that was just an overview of several of the filter web parts. Hopefully that was helpful. We have a couple more minutes where you guys can ask us any more questions. But just in general, we have some announcements. We have the SharePoint Evolution Conference in London that I'll be at the week of April 18th. I'll be speaking there. We have Ignite coming up, Microsoft Ignite, giant conference. It's going to be the first week of May. I'll be there, going there like May 2nd. Let's see. Todd and I are doing a session all day. Unfortunately, no. I get to do a session, one of those pre-day sessions with him, so I'll be there that Sunday. And then Joelle and Ryan, you guys are going to be there. And maybe we'll do some kind of Power Hour-y thing while we're there. That would be awesome. So we'll see if we can figure something out. I don't know when my other session is that I'm presenting there, so once I find that out, we'll have to figure out, make sure it doesn't collide, doesn't conflict with Power Hour or anything like that. I'm just not sure. So, all right. I don't know what we're doing next week on Power Hour, but I'm sure we'll figure it out. One of you guys, maybe. Oh, I'll be on spring break, so it's all you. But all right. I guess nobody else has any questions. That was fun. We'll see you guys next week. Hopefully we'll have a demo, and I'll put it up on our YouTube SharePoint RAX channel. You can click on videos, and then you can click on events in the little drop down, and that's how you can see things that are upcoming and these things that we broadcast. Over and out.